Okay, guys, this is just my personal rant on top ranked fighters. Uh, I don't know how Bob Arum does it. I don't know how he makes the media believe that these guys are legit best fighters. I mean, he's done it for years. He's made the media believe that a bunch of average, I would say average at best fighters are incredible. I mean, let's look at the past. Let's look at these guys. Juan Manuel Lopez, who he's not really that fast. He's not really. I mean, usually he doesn't have the greatest boxing skills. Usually he can just overwhelm people with his awesome punching power. Goes against Salido, who when they first started the fight, I was like, "There's no way he's gonna win this fight." Salido has a rock hard chin and one punch knockout power. He can hurt and land punches on Lopez, and Lopez can hit him and not hurt him. Who wins the fight? Salido every time. If you are a brawler who cannot hurt the other fighter, and the other fighter can hurt you, you cannot win this fight. It was a bad fight for Lopez, and he will always lose to Salido because it's just not. In the second fight, they were going to rob Salido. He was up on the scorecards when he got knocked. Lopez, he was up on the scorecards when he got knocked out. It was ridiculous. And Lopez, I mean, he's been exposed. He's been damaged. He's probably never going to fight again. Uh, Imagine if he had fought Gamboa. I mean, this would have been just like Rios. Imagine if he had fought Gamboa. I mean, Richard Abril is really not that fast. He doesn't really hit hard, and he doesn't have a lot of body strength. Like, he can't really wrestle with Rios in close. And Rios shows he has no boxing skills whatsoever because he loses at least 8 out of those 12 rounds and still gets a gift because, he's Brandon Rios and that's Richard Abril. Richard Abreu easily won that fight, easily outboxed Rios. Rios didn't do anything in that fight. He couldn't land a clean punch. He couldn't get the man on the ropes. He couldn't pound this guy. Rios got horribly exposed as not being able to box. He can't box. He was robbed. Abreu was robbed, absolutely. Um, Amir Khan, you go to Amir Khan. He has an elite talent. He really does. He's fast. He's strong. He's big. He's long. He has probably the fastest hands in boxing right now, and he has one punch pop. He hits hard. And then you have Lamont Peterson, who is the most average blue collar fighter you can possibly find. The dude doesn't hit that hard. He doesn't move that fast. I mean, just everything that you can think of to make him just an average fighter is what he is. Why was the fight? Do I think he beat Amir Khan? No. I think the fight should never have been that close, knowing that he's in this man's hometown. How do you let this man put that 4 people fight on you if you are so much more talented than him? The separating factor? Lamont Peterson has heart, determination, will, drive, all these things that Amir Khan does not have. That is why the fight was so close and why it was so hard fought. Not because the fact that he is talented enough to compete. He's not. He's nowhere near. He has a limited skill set. Nowhere near talented enough to compete with Amir Khan. But Amir Khan does not have the heart to compete with top level competition. And he showed that against Lamont Peterson, who was dominated by Tim Bradley, by the way. And then we come to Manny Pacquiao. This guy is the most media hype fighter since like Gary Clooney, man. Look, Manny Pacquiao, before he went to 140, fought a lot of great fighters. And heck, he lost. He also lost to Eric Morales, who was kind of on a downward spiral in his career at the time he lost. And he was a good fighter. He has went past 140 and not fought anyone. You can argue he fought Ricky Hatton. Ricky Hatton is tailor-made for Manny Pacquiao. He's going to rush in, and he doesn't have that great of a... This is like Joe Frazier fighting George Foreman. He's going to get knocked out every time because he's going to rush in and get popped. And that's what he did. He rushed in and got popped. Shane Mosley comes off of a horrible one-sided loss to Mayweather, and then goes on to barely... I mean, he couldn't even beat Sergio Mora, dude. Guy who hadn't fought in like 100 years, and then just really isn't that good in the first place. He couldn't even beat him. So that lets you know Shane Mosley was in a horrible downward spiral. Who else? That fight, and then you go on to He beat Cotto, which is probably the biggest name on his resume. At the time, not only does he come off of a beating from Antonio Margarito with plastered gloves, he he then goes on to fight Josh Clyde, who's supposed to be a gimme fight. Josh Clyde, he doesn't hit that hard. He doesn't have a lot of punch output, and he covers up when you start punching him. That's his natural instinct to cover up. And if Cotto doesn't knock him down in the first round, he loses the fight. The fight was still close, and he should have still lost the fight. I gave the fight to Clyde. I watched it 5 times, and I give it to Clyde every time. He beat Cotto. Cotto was given the fight. They were trying to set up a big fight between him and Pacquiao. He was given the fight. Name of the game. Just like Pacquiao was given the fight against Marquez. Name of the game. And then you take Marquez. Marquez is a blown-up lightweight who showed that Pacquiao's boxing skills are limited. That's what he showed. He didn't show that Pacquiao doesn't have heart. He didn't show that Pacquiao doesn't have speed or power. He showed his boxing skills are not as good as people think. And that's why I don't think he can beat Tim Bradley. This is not Mayweather versus Ortiz. This is not some inexperienced kid who folds when it comes to the big shot. Bradley is on another level than Ortiz. He is by far the fastest, most athletic fighter Pacquiao has fought at welterweight. Possibly the most athletic fighter he's ever fought in his career. He's strong. He's coming to win. He's not coming to lay down. He's not just coming to get a payday. He wants to win. He's hungry. It has more power than people probably think he does. And I just don't like Pacquiao's chance in this fight. This is the most, and he has skills. He has a boxing IQ and a skill set. Pacquiao, he faces when he fights Marquez, but this guy is faster and can put it together better than Marquez at this stage in his career. I do not like the chance of Pacquiao in this fight. I can't see Pacquiao winning this fight. Well, he probably will, just because he's gonna get robbed. Tim Bradley might get robbed, but just straight up winning, no way, dude, no way. And then people keep telling me that Mayweather's the same thing. He's blown. Nah, that's not true. I don't necessarily like Mayweather as a person, but if you look at it, you go back. Corrales was a top 5 pound for pound guy. He dominates Corrales. I understand Pacquiao fought top 10 guys too, top 10 pound for pound ranked fighters back in the lighter weights. He did. He didn't dominate them. They were wars. Some of them could have went either way. Marquez, Barrera, Morales. These were wars, dude. These weren't dominations. Far from it. And Mayweather dominated Corrales. Mayweather had the most one-sided domination I've ever seen against Arturo Gatti. He wasn't a top 10 guy, but he was a world champ. And he obliterated Gatti. And then you look at Zab Judah, who should have been undisputed welterweight champ, but Zab Judah being Zab Judah loses to Baltimore, who Mayweather also beat, and that dude hadn't lost in like 10 years before this fight. And people said Baltimore was going to win because he was a big dude. Obliterates Baltimore. He obliterates Zab Judah, who's also a top 10 pound for pound ranked guy. Oscar De La Hoya at the time was a 154 king and beating everyone at 154. He was still at the top of his game. He was still consistently fighting, and he was fighting at a much more comfortable weight. And he was still a top 10 pound for pound ranked guy when Mayweather fought him. Mayweather dominated him. The fight was close on scorecards only because De La Hoya's name is De La Hoya. It wasn't close. You could say, well, Pacquiao beat him too. Yeah, well, Pacquiao beat 147-pound De La Hoya, who hadn't fought at 147 in, 20,000 years? And, this guy, he had fought at 147 at least 6 years, 8 years. Not only that, the guy, he's coming off a 2-year retirement. And then you look at Mosley, who was a top 5 pound. Do I agree with that? No, Mosley should not have been a top 5 pound guy. But he was at the time when he fought Mayweather. Got embarrassed. Everybody saw that coming, or should have anyway. You look at Hatton, who was a top 3 guy, top 3 pound for pound guy, and Mayweather does not have one punch power. He does not have the power to hit Hatton and back him off of him. He has to fight Hatton. He has to truly outbox Hatton. And you know what? He did. Point blank. People said Haddon was going to win this fight. It's not like Haddon was. A lot of people thought Haddon would win this. They said this is the last legit. Remember, at this time, this is the last legit opponent. So Pacquiao came way later. And I mean, he killed Haddon. And then you look at Marquez, number 2 pound for pound fighter in the world at that time. Marquez. Yeah, they say he's a blown up lightweight. You know what? He's the same size as Pacquiao. 1. 2. This guy's still the number 2 pound for pound ranked fighter in the world. And Mayweather's coming off of a 2-year layoff. He wins every round. You cannot tell me, you cannot explain to me how a guy can come off a 2-year layoff and win every round against a number 2 pound for pound ranked fighter in the world and not be ranked number 1. That's the name of the game, especially with how this guy performs against Pacquiao. You cannot explain it. So, if somebody can explain to me the guys that Pacquiao has beat convincingly enough to be the number 1 ranked fighter, or even beat in general, because I mean he hasn't beaten anyone in like the past 5 fights that I can think of that's worth, claiming he could be the number 1 pound for pound guy in the world. But he's beaten names, but he hasn't beat anybody who was great at the time that he beat them. He just beat the names of these guys, which is ridiculous. Gary Clooney. He knocked out Ken. Who was Ken Norton when he fought? He was an over-the-hill bum. So, he's gonna lose to Bradley. Right. For those who think he's not, you're fooling yourself. Bradley's gonna beat him all day, every day. Another guy, Chavez Jr. He's not gonna lose. He's gonna get the decision over Andy Lee, but he's gonna lose 8 rounds on everyone's scorecards except the official judges. Andy Lee is fast, slick, and tall with a long reach. He's not gonna be able to bully Andy Lee the way he has all these other fighters. He's gonna get a jab stuck in his face and a right cross coming at him every time he tries to jab back. He's going to get countered all night, and he's going to get beat to the punch all night, and he's going to get beat up. Chavez is a one-dimensional brawler who lacks the elite boxing skills to beat a guy like Andy Lee. And he's going to get the decision anyway, because that's the way boxing works. And they're trying to set up this huge mega fight between him and Martinez. So, it's the unfortunate name of the game. But if somebody can explain to me, any top-ranked fighter worth $1, Gamboa left him. All the good fighters leave him, if you haven't noticed. Any guy who you think is not media hype, or why Pacquiao should be number 1 guy in the world, please tell me. Not something stupid like he fought a bunch of great. He has not. Don't lie. Point out something that's legit, please. And not Bob Arum hyping these guys up to make people believe they're better than they are. Because that's what he does.